Aurelio, the journey from pride to true beauty. The proud bird's arrival. In a lush, sun-kissed forest, where the trees danced with a gentle breeze and flowers bloomed in a rainbow of colors, there lived a proud bird. His name was Aurelio, and he was known far and wide for his magnificent feathers. Each feather shimmered like a jewel in the sunlight, brilliant blues, bright reds, sunny yellows, and even sparkling greens. Whenever Aurelio flew through the forest, all the other birds would stop and stare in awe at his beauty. "Oh, look at Aurelio," chirped a tiny finch, her eyes wide with admiration. "He's the most beautiful bird we've ever seen," tweeted a cheerful sparrow, fluttering around in excitement. Aurelio loved the attention. He would puff out his chest and preen his feathers, letting the sun catch the colors and reflect them like 1,000 tiny rainbows. He perched on the highest branch of the tallest tree, gazing down at the other birds as if they were his audience. "I'm the proudest bird in the forest," Aurelio would say with a grand smile. "No one can match my beauty. Just look at my feathers." While the other birds admired him, Aurelio never took the time to listen to their stories or share in their laughter. He was too busy basking in the warmth of their praise. As he gazed at the world below, he felt like a king upon his throne. But the forest held many wonders, and as the days went by, Aurelio found himself becoming more and more lonely. The other birds would chatter and play games together, sharing sweet songs and delightful stories, but Aurelio remained distant, proud and alone in his tree. One sunny morning, as Aurelio fluffed his feathers in the early light, he noticed a wise old owl perched nearby. The owl, with his big round eyes and gentle demeanor, had watched Aurelio with a knowing gaze. "Good morning, Aurelio," the owl hooted softly. "Your feathers are indeed beautiful, but don't you think it's time to make some friends?" Aurelio looked down at the wise old bird, his feathers shimmering in the morning sun. "Friends," he scoffed, "I have everything I need. My beauty is enough." The owl shook his head slowly, his feathers ruffling in the breeze. "Beauty can catch the eye, but friendship captures the heart. You may be beautiful, but true happiness comes from sharing your life with others." Aurelio shrugged and flew off to show off his feathers once more, leaving the wise owl to ponder the lesson he hoped Aurelio would one day learn. The gathering of friends. As days turned into weeks, Aurelio continued to flaunt his stunning feathers, ignoring the gentle nudges from the other birds to join them. One sunny afternoon, a gathering took place beneath the great oak tree in the heart of the forest. Birds of all kinds had come together to share stories and laughter. The friendly sparrow flitted around, inviting everyone to join in the fun. "Aurelio, come down. We're having a wonderful time," chirped the friendly sparrow, her voice filled with excitement. But Aurelio remained perched high above, looking down at the joyful scene below. "Why should I? I am the most beautiful bird here. They should come to me," he called out, puffing his chest even more. The wise owl, who had joined the gathering, overheard Aurelio's words. "Aurelio," he hooted gently, "beauty is only one part of who you are. What about kindness? What about laughter? You miss out on so much by staying up there." Aurelio tilted his head, puzzled but still too proud to leave his branch. He saw the other birds playing games, sharing tasty seeds, and singing joyful songs. Their laughter echoed through the forest like a sweet melody, but he couldn't help feeling that he was above such trivialities. Just then, the friendly sparrow decided to take a stand. "Aurelio, we all love your feathers, but true friends care about each other's hearts, not just looks. Won't you join us?" Feeling a twinge of something he didn't quite understand, perhaps loneliness, Aurelio paused. But before he could respond, He saw a small group of birds fluttering in a circle, sharing a delightful story. He watched them closely as the wise owl spoke up once more. "Let me tell you a tale, Aurelio," he began. "Once upon a time, there was a bird who thought his beauty was everything. He flew high and alone, never sharing his heart with anyone. One day, a great storm came, and he found himself all alone, with no friends to help him. And he learned that without friends, even the most beautiful feathers mean nothing." Aurelio felt a pang of guilt as he listened to the owl's wise words. The story echoed in his mind, creating a flicker of doubt about his prideful ways. Maybe it would be nice to join them, he thought, but the proud bird's stubbornness held him back. What if they don't care about me? He wondered, yet deep down, he felt an unspoken longing to connect. Finally, with a deep breath, Aurelio took a leap of faith. He flapped his wings and swooped down to the gathering, landing softly among the other birds. "All right, I'm here," he announced, a mix of excitement and nervousness in his voice. The friendly sparrow beamed with joy. "Welcome, Aurelio. We're so glad you could join us." As Aurelio listened to their stories and laughed along with the birds, he began to understand the joy that came from connection and friendship, even if he still clung to his pride. The sudden storm. One bright day, as Aurelio settled into his new role among the birds, dark clouds began to gather in the sky. The once sunny forest became a little too quiet as the winds picked up, rustling the leaves and carrying a whisper of warning. The birds, sensing the change, looked up with concern. "A storm is coming," cried the friendly sparrow, her tiny wings flapping nervously. "We should take shelter." The wise owl, always calm and collected, called out to the gathering. "Everyone, let's find a safe place to wait out the storm. Remember, safety is more important than pride." Aurelio, feeling a surge of bravado, shook his head. "I don't need to hide. I'm strong. I can handle the storm alone." He puffed out his chest and stood tall, believing his beauty would somehow protect him from the impending rain. "Please, Aurelio," urged the friendly sparrow. "It's best to stick together. We can help each other." But Aurelio ignored her and remained perched on a nearby branch, convinced that he would be just fine. "I'll wait for the storm to pass. I have the most beautiful feathers. Nothing can hurt me," he declared, his voice echoing through the treetops. Just then, the sky grew darker, and the first drops of rain began to fall, plopping onto the ground and splattering against the leaves. The wind howled, and soon the gentle drizzle transformed into a torrential downpour. The other birds found refuge in the thick branches of the trees, huddled close together, while Aurelio clung to his branch, stubbornly refusing to leave. Suddenly, a fierce gust of wind swept through the forest, stronger than Aurelio had anticipated. Before he knew it, he was losing his grip. "What's happening?" he squawked, flapping his wings wildly. With a whoosh, the wind swept him off his perch, and Aurelio found himself tumbling through the air, spiraling down until he landed, splash, into a muddy puddle below. "Oh no," he cried, struggling to free himself from the thick, sticky mud. His once glorious feathers were now matted and brown, covered in muck. He flapped his wings, but the mud only stuck to him more, weighing him down. As the storm raged on, Aurelio felt a deep sense of shame and embarrassment. He realized that all his pride had led him to this moment of vulnerability. Alone in the puddle, he wished he had heeded the advice of his friends. From afar, the friendly sparrow watched in horror. "Aurelio," she called, her voice filled with concern. "Are you all right?" With great effort, Aurelio lifted his head, his heart heavy with regret. I think I need help," he admitted softly, the pride he once held slipping away like the rain from the leaves. The fall into the mud. The rain poured down relentlessly, drenching the forest and soaking everything in its path. Aurelio floundered in the muddy puddle, feeling the weight of the muck on his feathers and the ache in his heart. What have I done, he thought, as he struggled to lift himself from the sticky embrace of the mud. The other birds, who had found safety in the trees, watched with concern. They had tried to warn Aurelio, and now they could see how much he was suffering. The friendly sparrow fluttered down closer to the puddle, her tiny heart racing. "Aurelio, are you okay?" she chirped, her voice filled with worry. I can't get out," Aurelio admitted, his pride crumbling like the mud beneath him. "I thought I could handle it. I thought I didn't need anyone else. But now I'm stuck, and I don't know what to do." The little bird's eyes softened as she gazed at the proud bird in distress. "It's all right, Aurelio. We all make mistakes. You don't have to be proud all the time. Let us help you." "Help me?" Aurelio asked, his heart racing with embarrassment. He didn't want to admit he needed assistance, especially not after all his boasts about being strong and beautiful. But as he looked at his muddy feathers and felt the weight of the situation, he realized that he truly did need help. Just then, a cheerful voice piped up from above. It was the kind little bird, a small and gentle creature who always seemed to see the good in everyone. "Aurelio, hold on. We're coming to get you," she called out. The friendly sparrow and the kind little bird flapped their wings and flew down to the edge of the puddle, while the wise owl perched on a branch above, watching over them with a wise and patient expression. "Grab onto my wing," urged the friendly sparrow, stretching out her tiny wing toward Aurelio. "You can do it." With a deep breath, Aurelio reached out, feeling the warmth of friendship beckoning him. He took hold of the friendly sparrow's wing, and together, they pulled with all their might. The kind little bird joined in, pushing from behind, and slowly, Aurelio began to rise from the mud. With a final, mighty heave, Aurelio was freed. He landed on the grassy bank beside the puddle, shaking off the mud and panting heavily. But he was free, and he wasn't alone. Thank you," Aurelio exclaimed, his voice filled with gratitude. "I'm sorry I didn't listen before. I should have joined you all during the storm." The friendly sparrow smiled warmly. "It's okay, Aurelio. We're just glad you're safe." Aurelio looked at his friends, and for the first time, he felt the warmth of true companionship. "I've learned a valuable lesson today," he said, looking at the wise owl, who nodded approvingly. "Being beautiful isn't enough. I need friends who care about me, and I need to care about them too." The rain began to subside, and the sun peeked through the clouds, casting a warm golden light over the forest. Aurelio's heart felt lighter than it had in a long time. The kind little bird. As the sun shone brightly through the fading clouds, Aurelio took a moment to catch his breath. He felt grateful to be out of the mud and thankful for the support of his friends. The kind little bird, with her gentle nature, approached him, her little eyes shining with kindness. "Hi, Aurelio. I'm so glad you're okay," she chirped sweetly. "Sometimes we all need a little help, and that's perfectly all right." Aurelio looked down at his muddy feathers, feeling embarrassed but also relieved. "Thank you for coming to help me," he said sincerely. "I realized that I was too proud to ask for help. I thought I could do everything on my own, but I see now that I was wrong." The kind little bird smiled warmly. "It's important to remember that everyone makes mistakes. The best part is learning from them. You showed bravery by letting us help you, and that makes you even more beautiful." Aurelio felt his heart swell at her words. "You're right. I want to be a better friend, someone who is kind and helpful, just like you." As the other birds began to gather around, the friendly sparrow flew over and joined the conversation. "Aurelio, we're all here for you. We want to help you clean those muddy feathers. It'll be fun, and we can share stories while we do it." "Let's have an adventure," chirped the kind little bird, flapping her wings in excitement. "We can visit the river where the water is clear and refreshing. That will wash away all the mud." With newfound enthusiasm, Aurelio agreed. Yes, let's go to the river. I want to be clean, not just on the outside, but on the inside too. I want to learn what it means to be a true friend. The group set off toward the river, a path winding through the lush greenery of the forest. As they walked, Aurelio listened to his friends share stories about their own experiences, times when they felt proud or afraid, moments when they needed help. Each tale made Aurelio feel more connected to them. The friendly sparrow shared a story about the time she tried to build a nest all on her own, but ended up needing her friends' help to gather materials. I learned that it's okay to ask for support. We're stronger together, she said with a cheerful smile. Aurelio nodded, feeling the warmth of camaraderie blooming within him. He realized that he was no longer just the proud bird. He was becoming part of something greater, a community of friends who looked out for one another. When they finally reached the river, Aurelio was amazed by how clear and sparkling the water was. It flowed gracefully over smooth stones, reflecting the sunlight like a million tiny diamonds. "Let's splash and play," the friendly sparrow exclaimed, diving into the water. Aurelio hesitated for just a moment, remembering his previous pride, but then he saw the joy on his friends' faces. With a joyful leap, he jumped into the water, feeling the coolness wash over him. Laughter and splashes filled the air as they all played together, and Aurelio felt lighter, both in spirit and in heart. As they played, the muddy feathers began to rinse away, revealing the true colors beneath. But more importantly, Aurelio began to understand the beauty of friendship and the strength that comes from being vulnerable and open to others. The journey to cleanliness. After a joyful afternoon splashing in the river, Aurelio emerged feeling refreshed and lighthearted. His feathers were no longer weighed down by mud. They sparkled in the sunlight, radiating the beauty he had always been proud of. But more than just a change in appearance, Aurelio felt a transformation within him. As they dried off by the riverbank, Aurelio turned to his friends. "Thank you for helping me clean up. I've realized that true beauty isn't just in how I look. It's also about the love and kindness we share." The kind little bird beamed at him. "That's right, Aurelio. We all have our unique qualities. Together, we can create something beautiful." With a sense of adventure bubbling in the air, the friendly sparrow fluttered her wings. "What should we do next? Let's have an adventure to celebrate." "I have an idea," Aurelio exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Let's go explore the Meadow of Colors. I've heard stories about it, how it's filled with the brightest flowers and butterflies." The other birds chirped in agreement, their spirits lifted by the idea of a new adventure. "Let's go," they cheered, and off they went, flapping their wings and soaring through the forest. As they traveled, Aurelio took the lead, guiding his friends with joy. Along the way, they encountered many delightful creatures, a wise old turtle who shared tales of the past, playful rabbits who hopped alongside them, and even a family of deer who welcomed them with gentle smiles. Each encounter reminded Aurelio of the importance of kindness and community. He listened closely to the stories of the other animals, learning about their struggles and triumphs. The more he listened, the more he felt connected to them. Eventually, they reached the Meadow of Colors, and Aurelio gasped in awe. The meadow was a breathtaking sight, a vast expanse of vibrant flowers swaying gently in the breeze. Reds, blues, yellows, and purples painted the landscape, while butterflies danced above them, their delicate wings glimmering in the sunlight. "Wow, it's even more beautiful than I imagined," Aurelio exclaimed, his heart swelling with wonder. "Let's explore," the friendly sparrow chirped excitedly. They all flew into the meadow, landing on the soft grass among the flowers. Each bird took turns sharing what they loved most about the colors around them, and Aurelio, feeling more at ease, expressed his newfound appreciation for beauty that wasn't just skin deep. "I see now that every flower is unique, just like us," he said thoughtfully. "It's our differences that make the world so vibrant." As they played and laughed in the meadow, Aurelio felt a sense of belonging wash over him. He was no longer just the proud bird. He was Aurelio, a friend who cherished the beauty of connection and kindness.
Whispering echoes.